Hello again, everybody. This is John Arns with the Business Freedom Formula. Today's guest is Ray Smith. Ray, how do you do?
I'm doing great. Thank you for letting me
Great.
be here.
Well, thank you for being with us. Ray, I want to start out tonight by just asking you a real kind of uh, I'm not going to call it a gotcha question, but it's kind of a leading question. And that is, are you working on anything really exciting at the moment in your business?
I am. I feel like we've hit our stride and with our business, and it's just the perfect storm with the economy the way it is, with the energy of entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs are a special breed that I just love talking with. They're so full of energy. And with our business, we've transitioned from consumer credit into business credit so we can allow entrepreneurs access funding. And just with everything that's happening in the world right now and with the economy in our country, it's just, we feel like we're at the perfect time, at the precipice of something so magnanimous here.
Okay. So is this something other than SBA loans?
It is. Actually, people are used to dealing with their personal credit, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of entrepreneurs are funding their business using a personal guarantee with their personal credit. And what we do is we take a corporation, either a C or an S corp or an LLC, and we build a credit profile on the EIN number at the three bureaus, Dun& Bradstreet, Experian Business, and Equifax Business. And we create a business credit report for lenders. And there's like tricks and it's scary and people don't know. Well, we've created a platform just to make it so simple. 80 to 90% of business creditors don't even report to the bureaus because it's such a pain in the butt. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have business credit with vendors, but they don't have a credit profile. Then
Okay.
they'll go down and try to apply for traditional banking and they get denied and they don't know why. And we've removed all the mystery with our program.
Okay. So now if somebody goes to the bank and they want to take out a loan for their business and they go to check the credit bureaus, there they are.
That's right. There's actually 4 tiers of funding. And so we have a platform where we tie the business entrepreneur into our platform, and then we go out and we pull in the three reports, Dun& Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax, and we find the deficiencies. We
Okay.
build it up, and we have hundreds of lenders that are looking at that. So we don't put you in front of a lender until we know you qualify. So
Okay.
know you qualify before you apply is our motto.
Yeah, that's always very helpful because now you at least you feel like you're going to go somewhere instead of sitting there wringing your hands wondering if it's going to happen or not.
Yeah, and we've all been there, right? You fill out the application, you hit the submit button, and you got this knot in your stomach. And we want to remove that. And then the other thing is when you get denied, people feel shameful.
Right.
Well, what's really happening, and because I talk to hundreds of business owners all across the country, everyone thinks COVID is in the rearview mirror. All the entrepreneurs gave their life to save their business and help their employees when we were forced to shut down. And we
Right.
stopped paying, a lot of people stopped paying their personal obligations. So they have damaged personal credit.
Sure.
So they're still wounded and they're still trying to recoup everything and launch and keep their businesses going. And with that damaged credit, it just gets more and more of a stranglehold on that business owner. Where with business credit, it's 5 to 10 times more powerful. So you can access 5 to 10 times more funding with business credit.
Yeah, I could see that because now it's not your personal situation, it's the business situation.
Right. So I give an example. We had a restaurant owner, their walk-in freezer went out. They put $8,000 on their $10,000 personal credit card, and their scores went down 100 points.
Sure.
Well, if they would have had a business credit card and put $8,000 on it and made a payment, then they could have called the bank and say, hey, I need to increase my limit. And typically a bank will up to 5 times that limit. So that $10,000 limit will go to $50,000 because it's a business credit card. It was the
Right.
same transaction, but just more power using your business credit.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. And I imagine a lot of small business owners are not even aware of any of this.
No, we're never taught it. It's
Yeah.
such a misnomer out there. You can contact Dun& Bradstreet and they'll want to sell you a monitoring package. That's fine. You
Mhm.
can learn a lot, but you don't have any lenders and you don't
Right.
know who to apply for. And so we've tied that together. We do the reporting building and
Hmm.
we have the lenders, so we know exactly what needs to be at the bureaus. I
Okay.
give I give this example. If you have a calculator and I have a calculator and we both hit 4 + 4,
Hmm.
we know that both of them are going to show 8.
Correct.
Reason for that is that was what was programmed into the calculator before we went to the store and bought it.
Mhm.
We're doing the same thing. We're programming the 3 bureaus so that when that lender hits the submit button, we already know the approval is going to come back. So we're programming the bureaus to have what the lenders need to see.
Okay. Okay. So do you, I know you're in Southern California like I am. Do you operate, is your service available all over the United States,
Yes, nationwide.
nationwide?
Yeah.
Okay, great. This, again, this is something that, I mean, I never even heard of anything like this during my MBA program. I mean, it just, it's not, unfortunately, I think MBA programs, when you take a finance class, they're talking about way up here,
Yeah. Yeah.
financing, not down at the entrepreneur type level, the solo entrepreneur or the small business owner with a few employees.
Well, that's kind of my criticism. How many business teachers have ran a business? And you're supposed to learn and get a degree from some group of individuals that don't have never ran a business. And I'm
Hmm.
not criticizing. I went to school to be a math and music teacher,
Hmm.
and I wanted to get into business. I never took business classes because I just wanted to teach math and music. And
Hmm.
my journey didn't lead me down that road. It took a detour. But
Life got in the way.
yeah, but what I would have learned from the teacher is nothing like what I learned being a business owner. And there's just no replacement of the education you get as being that business owner. I feel that the banks and the bureaus don't really have a concise system for like what we do. That's why we put it together because if everybody had perfect credit, the banks would go out of business, right?
Sure,
They,
sure. Yeah.
and I feel the same way with the guessing game in the business credit world. They just want you to get enough and they want to be the only lender for you and they don't want you going down the street or whatever. If rather than apply at Granger, no, we want you to stay at this credit union. Well, no, you really need to go to Granger too because you need a minimum of 6 trade lines in order to get tier 2 lending to open up,
Ah,
right? And,
okay.
and so there's a lot of tricks, and it's not really tricks, it's just the computer system, and
Hmm.
we decoded it and created a path, so there's no guesswork.
Okay. That sounds like a really what robust program that you have for helping business owners out.
It's tremendous. So tiers 1 and 2, we don't need revenue. So if you're a startup business or if you've been incorporated for many years, just you haven't launched because you're still working your job and you still want to, but you have this corporation, we want to start working with you building that credit because it takes about 45 days before you'll see the trade lines. And here's the other thing, like I'm saying, there's so many things, gotchas, whatever.
Hmm.
Consumer credit reports every 30 days. So your personal credit card, your car loan reports every 30 days to the bureaus.
Hmm.
With business credit, they report every 60 days because you get the account, they give you net 30, and then you pay
Right.
it, and then it reports. So we got to get that account opened. We got to go through that process and get it to show up at the bureaus. And we know which creditors report to which bureaus. So,
Okay.
and we need a minimum number of trade lines for tier 2 lenders to open up and become accessible. And then when you get tier 2 opened up and your business running, now we start to leverage the revenue that you're making to access tiers 3 and tiers 4. So we can take in basically 4 months and take you through this program, which typically takes anyone from 2 to 4 years to go through by hunting and pecking.
Mhm. So when you're talking about the different tiers of lending, are you talking about different lenders per se, or are you talking about better interest rates and terms on the loans, or
That's a great question. No, different lenders, because tier 2 are your traditional banks, and
okay?
they won't approve you until they see a minimum number of trade lines on your credit reports. So tier 1 is like a Granger or a Uline or different, but it depends on your industry code, because we got to make sure that that's right. We
Hmm.
got to make sure your address, your business phone number, your business email, and your website is on the application, because a lot of people use their cell phone. They use an AOL and a Gmail account. And when they submit it, the automated underwriting system automatically denies. And but they don't tell you that's why. So we go
Oh,
through this checklist. There's 13 points that we go through. And then we make sure that the address is exact at the Secretary of State, on your bank statement, on your merchant account, at Dun& Bradstreet, with the IRS. What was the address you on your tax returns? Because what's happening now with AI is lenders are using AI to go out and check public databases, and they come back. And if there's any discrepancies, you got to think about it. If you had $1 million and I asked you for 300 grand, and I give you my cell phone and here's a PO box, and by the way, here's my AOL email account,
hmm.
there's not really much stability there, right? And so
All
you
right. Doesn't sound
look
like
at
it.
the lenders and understand where they're coming from, and then work within our means. And that's what we help you do.
Hmm. Wow, that's terrific. Now, you'd written, you'd made a comment or mentioned about what you called the three M's, unlocking the three M's. Would you explain a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, so every business needs money, marketing, and media. And what we want to do is build that trust, get you enough funding, and then we have partners that we work with to do marketing to help automate it with AI tools. And
Hmm.
then we have media channels to get you on television, get you on like even Fox Business, and get you published within like Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur magazine. And we want to help move you through that cycle of being an influencer to an authority to a celebrity. And I've been fortunate enough to work with Kevin Harrington, the original shark from Shark Tank. And
Okay.
actually, I wrote a chapter in his book here. Uh,
Okay.
I better put it here.
Yeah.
And he is the inventor of the infomercial. So everyone knows the Ginsu knife and OxyClean
Oh,
and George
right.
Foreman grill. And so he's got a show called Get Down to Business with Kevin Harrington that airs on the Fox Business Network. And there's another show called Money TV, and I'm the host of Money TV. So we want to bring you in as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
interview you properly, and then you take that video clip, and that's your VSL that you put on your website. So you're telling your story to attract customers. And to me, Money TV and Get Down to Business with Kevin Harrington are the only two shows that I know of where the CEO can come on and tell their story and their business. Until podcasts, right? And this is why
Right.
I want to come on podcasts, because I want to get our story out there. It's the
Mhm.
only way we're going to get it out there, because we're fighting with, McDonald's advertising and My Pillow spending $10 million a month in advertising. And how effective is it? But really, it's the podcast listeners, your viewers, your listeners that are driving, listening to your going, man, I didn't know about this. And you can't really do that, tell our story as business owners in a 30-second clip or a 60-second clip.
No, you can't.
And that's why I love these podcasts, these long versions, so I can explain it. Because especially in finance and the credit bureaus, it's not something that you just gloss over.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because I know financing can be complex if you don't understand. And most of us aren't trained to understand it anyway. We're lucky. I mean, in my regular well, I will call it my 8 to 5 job that I work, there are people that work for our customers that come to pick up material and they can't even fill out the check because no one's ever showed them how to write a check. Now, to me, that's not their fault exactly.
Oh,
But one kid I know, he came in and he goes, I've never filled one of these out before. He goes, wait, and he pulls out his phone and he found a YouTube video. Oh, okay, I can do this. So at least, he took the initiative, but we've got some that just hand it to us and say, you fill it out.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
right. But now imagine adding ChatGPT and AI,
Right.
and all the banks are moving to that. And
Hmm.
as older generations are going to be like that kid trying to fill out a check blank, right? We're going
Right.
to get lost in the dust.
Yeah. It's funny. My undergraduate degree is in business information systems management, and so I've got kind of a tech background, but I'm not a real tech guy. But I try to keep up with this stuff because it fascinates me for one.
Yeah.
And like I said, with the AI stuff, I can see the benefit from a business standpoint of integrating the technology. So, but there's a lot of people. I've got family members who are scared to death of it.
Yeah, and it's going to take us leaders as entrepreneurs to lead the charge. And I
Right.
just heard a report the other day that AI and like Chat GPT is making us as a society so efficient that GDP could cross the 4% threshold this quarter. And that's the first time it's been that way since the 1980s. And it's making us all more efficient. And that's what's lacking is the efficiency. And that's what we want to do in the business credit,
Sure.
get you to access funding efficiently.
Mhm. I get that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because if you can streamline a process, regardless of what that process is in your business, you have more time to devote to other things that need to be done. And this seems like a very much no-brainer. What do you have any thoughts on um, businesses having an open line of credit? Is this something that you work with businesses?
Yeah, so there's 3 C's: credit, cash, and collateral.
Hmm.
And it just depends on the stage of the company, which determines which different types of funding they're qualified for.
Hmm.
And what we do is we take an assessment where they're at today and then plan for the next 12, 24, 36 months. And
Hmm.
how are we going to leverage everything and the money that we're going to get you today so that it opens up other doors as you grow and go down the road. So, and a revolving line of credit is definitely something depending on how much revenue you're doing,
Hmm.
the security of that revenue sources. If you have one client paying you X amount every month and that's your business, well, that's high risk because it's only one client. And if you lose
Right.
that contract, you're basically out of business.
Sure.
So, there's a lot of different factors in that, but absolutely we do that.
Yeah. Because and that's one of those things that you want to do before you need the money. You want to set that up in advance so you're going to have that ready so that when the time comes, and you can do some financial projections of looking at when you might, depending on your cash flow and your business expenses and things like that. But I don't think a lot of business owners do that.
They don't, and they don't understand it. And that's why they don't. So that's why we feel we're at the forefront because we're going to sit down, look at your needs today, and then
Hmm.
we're going to project what your needs are 12, 24, 36 months. And then we're going to work starting today to make sure that you have access to money in 12, 24, 36 months. And these are your milestones that you as a company has to hit. You have to apply for these vendors so that you have this many trade lines on. So when your company gets to this stage, you can access this money. You can't access this money today, but you got to be able to when you get there. But it's going to take time. So let's do the groundwork today so that when you get there, you're not behind the 8 ball. And that's what we want to remove all the ambiguity out.
So essentially, it's kind of almost like a roadmap of, okay, where are you at? And we know we want to get you here. This is what you have to do. And I imagine it's probably a process you've done probably thousands of times for small businesses or even medium-sized businesses to get them where they need to be financially viable.
And publicly traded companies. And it's called the Great Wealth Transfer. There's $68 trillion of wealth being transferred over the next 20 years. The baby boomers are retiring. That's a silver tsunami. And it's meeting the golden age in America, which is this spirit that's happening right now. So there's this shift that's happening. So a lot of entrepreneurs want to start a business. Well, if there's a business that's profitable in that industry that you're looking at, well, it's better for you to go buy that business rather than start it from scratch, because it's hard as heck starting from scratch.
Sure.
And when you buy that business with your new entity, we build that credit so that you're lend worthy, and that owner of the existing business will come on to your management team, and you can buy him out over 5 years. And that knowledge transfer will happen where that business owner that's selling his business, a lot of people don't want to just park the car and walk down the road and leave their car in the back, right? And that's the way business owners are. They want to sell it, but that's their baby. And so they just don't want to work that many hours. And so we help them in that transition, and we help that sale. We have a client in Florida. This gentleman moved from Colorado. He loves sea-doos and ski-doos, right?
Right.
So he hates the cold. So he went down to Florida and he spent 2 weeks down there, and he found a business. They have 14 locations, and that guy wanted to retire. Well, he just walked in and it was the perfect match. So now we're bringing the funding to help this organization with 14 locations transition from this older gentleman to this young kid that loves the business. And, it's like passing it down to your child.
Sure.
And so we're helping exactly what I told you, that structure, the management, the funding, the marketing, and the media. We do all three of that for them. So that's just one example. I could go on for 4 hours,
Oh, I bet you could. But that's an excellent example on how you can do that, And then, of course, if you're a business owner looking at the possibility of selling that, you want to build your business up and make it attractive.
That's right.
Someone who doesn't have your knowledge and skill level, maybe, but loves the business and wants to learn.
That's right. And you need to make your company sellable. Because if a lender's going to look at your company and you don't have business credit, and you've been running a lot of your personal items through your business, you're not really auditable. And so you might be a good cash generating machine for you, but you're not a good viable company to be sold.
Right.
And so there's a lot of stuff that goes behind it. It's not, you just walk out and flick a switch.
Right.
That's it takes time, and you got to lay this roadmap out.
And I think that's why some business owners, they go and they buy a business that appears on the surface to be running well. The books look good, but yet it fails because what do you call it? The intellectual property left with the old owner, stuff you didn't know.
The spirit, the heart of the business, right? Because the business owner didn't delegate.
And if you're relying on the people who are there, now all of a sudden they're saying, wow, now I can start doing the things I want to do in this department or whatever. And it's not really working like it's supposed to.
That's right.
Yeah. I've worked
There's
for
a lot of factors. I'm sorry. I was just going to say there's a lot of factors.
And I've worked for most of my life, I've worked in small businesses. I worked for one company that ended up getting sold to Bristol Myers and then got sold to 3M, but we were a very small part of it. So it was like a small business. And I think in the division I worked in, there were 125 people.
Wow.
Yeah. and they're, and so, I got to see a lot. And that's when I was going back to college and working on my first undergraduate degree. I was in my 20s and I was looking at all of this and learning a lot from just observation. And the vice president of marketing kind of took me under his wing. He was an interesting character. Let me tell you, he was a jokester. He could be very crass, but the guy knew his stuff. And I learned a lot from him. And so I've observed these things and seen them. And other business owners I've met and talked to over the years that just don't get it. They're struggling and they don't understand.
Well, and that's another reason a lot of the restaurants went out, or small businesses in general went out of business after COVID, because the owners, worked their guts off. They finally got their business to be on autopilot, and they got shut down, and they basically have to start over again. And they just said, screw it, I'm done.
Yeah.
We're actually helping a group of chiropractors in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
There's 6,000 chiropractors in the baby boomer age that are retiring. And this one chiropractor partnered with a good CFO that used to run public companies.
Mm-hmm.
He brought in a marketing system that can double. Well, he doubled his income with it in 6 months. So this chiropractor and the CFO partnered up, and they started buying up other chiropractic firms and putting their brand in. And I think they're up to 6 now, and they've only been doing it for like 7 months.
Wow.
And their goal is over the next 24, 36 months to have this big conglomerate that they can sell off to a public company.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just give examples. So people out there that are listening, you have a dream, but it starts with that one thing. I told you I worked with Kevin Harrington. So the everyone was getting into the barbecue grills back when George Foreman said, I want to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin said, I don't know if I'm really interested. What makes yours unique? And he said, well, mine has a slant on it so that when the meat cooks from the top and the bottom, so you don't have to flip it, and the grease will run into this tray.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that slant was a billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar idea. So it's just that one little concept, right? And so your listeners are listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk about business credit and funding. That's just, that's the gas tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the car that you need to focus and work on too. And you got to drive it,
Sure.
So,
I mean, and then once you have funding, you have to make intelligent choices about where to spend your marketing dollars, where to spend, if you're buying equipment, where to spend, and what do you need to buy, and what can you refurbish at maybe half the cost of new. And I remember years ago, I read about a roofing supply company that would, when they were expanding, they would move their businesses into like the old neighborhoods when real estate agents were trying to show him all the flashy new places. And he goes, those people won't need a roof for 30 years. They need roofs here.
right.
Okay. And yet when they needed a truck, it was cheaper to put a $900 engine in it than buy a $50,000 truck. So they put a new engine in it. They spent their money. And this was kind of unique about that company is they posted the P&L in the building. Every employee knew where they were, and they knew that they contributed to that by the decisions they made, which I know a lot of business owners would just freak out at the idea that an employee knows how much money we're making, but they can make better decisions.
And that's a true business owner. And John, you hit it right on. A lot of entrepreneurs listen and they're being sold, and it's usually for the salesperson's product's best interest, like that warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
You got to run your own company and go out. And that's why they say get 3 quotes. Well, why is that? So you can have informed decision. You might not know the real cost of getting a roof replaced, but if you have 3 people that don't know each other coming in fighting for your business, you can look at them and see if one's out of whack or if they're in the same ballpark. So you're not getting screwed.
Right.
And you
Exactly.
got to take that ownership. This is your family. Here's another thing I tell the business owners. For every check that you hand out, there's 2.5 mouths dependent on that. So you as the business owner, you're responsible for your family. and that's your employees and their families,
Mhm.
right? And your vendors. And so it's a lot of responsibility. So getting people money is one thing, but you got to be responsible for it. And I just appreciate you bringing that up, John.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it, Ray. Oh, so Ray, this has been great. Man, this is a whole new area of business I didn't even know existed. So,
And
and
your
I will
listeners
tell you,
don't either. I'm
yeah,
sorry, your listeners don't either because it's
no,
been
they don't. They don't. And I can tell you that when I read through this, I wasn't quite sure what you did. And
yeah,
now, of course, it's much clearer.
yeah.
And I think it's phenomenal. Um, and then your goal next year is what? To try and land, obviously to land more business, but do you actually have a goal in mind as to the number?
Yeah, we want to help 20,000 businesses next year alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you guys have a sales team that does that, or is it mostly word of mouth, or working through financial institutions to bring their um their banking customers in that need help?
We do referrals, affiliates, but we also do paid ads. And so we're on social media ad platforms, advertising and getting it out.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I want to come on these podcasts like yours here, so we can have a discussion and I can explain it. That's what I was saying earlier. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
to get somebody to stop scrolling when you say business credit and it just goes over their head and they
Right.
keep on scrolling, right? And
Right.
so we have a major ad campaign. Um, we're being published in our own media articles, Entrepreneur Magazine, Inc. Magazine. I've been featured in U.S. News and World Report, Crit Daily. So our company's getting out there and we're building upon this momentum.
Hmm. Well, great. Now, if anybody watching this wants to get a hold of you, they can get a hold of you through Trycera.com, correct?
Correct. Yep. And
Um,
all our information is there. You can go to the contact us,
mhm.
or you can schedule a free consultation so we can have a one-on-one with our sales team and you, uh,
Okay.
the listener,
Mhm.
and find out where you're at. Doesn't matter where you're at, but we want to know where you're at, and we will put a plan together to get you going. I talk to business owners that are working 2 jobs, but I got this entity. And I said, it's okay. You don't have to fix everything today, but let's get started because a
Let's-
month will go by so quick and then you'll be ready and you can start accessing funding now. And
It's
it's fun talking with them.
it's fun how you say that month will go by so quick. I remember when we hit Labor Day weekend, okay, and I said to my family, I said, we're gonna blink and it's gonna be Halloween. And we're
Yeah.
gonna blink again and it's gonna be Christmas.
Well,
Well,
how many people realize that COVID was 5 years ago?
yeah, it doesn't feel like it.
It feels like 2 months ago. We
It
still
does.
got the pain lingering, right?
Yeah, we do. And we still talk about the difference it made where I work and how even how our business changed. And we wanted to try and keep it that way because it actually worked better in that time. But yet, because of the way the whole economy changed, we had to go back to the old method, which drives us crazy. We actually have to work harder, where before we worked smarter.
Yeah.
And but it's you have to accommodate the customer sometimes. So
Yeah, and we're still working through all of it.
yeah.
It's not over yet, right? And now you're throwing another wrinkle into it, this AI and Chat GPT. And
Mhm.
one thing constant about business is there's always going to be change.
There's always going to be change, and that's happened. I mean, you and I have both lived long enough to know that every day there's a change.
Yeah.
If it stayed the same, we would all stagnate,
Yeah. And it'd be
and
boring.
that's not in human nature to stagnate. So we
Right.
always have to find something.
Yeah.
All right, Ray, thank you again so much for your time, sir. I appreciate it. And I wish you the best of luck. And I hope you get those 20,000. I imagine that there's a lot of business owners out there, and you're probably not even getting 1/10 of 1% of the business owners in America.
No, there's 30 million business owners out there.
Oh, all right. Yeah, you're not even getting that. All right, Ray. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your time, sir. And best of luck to you.
Thanks, John. And to best of all your listeners also.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.